that someone was good or someone was bad, that there was a right and a wrong and a superior and an inferior. And I kept saying, oh my gosh, everything is an illusion down here. And we get so caught up, and so that changed my direction. It changed the material that I was reading and the work that I was doing on myself. And I thought, wow, I have really been blessed. I'm a pretty lucky guy. I must have had a lot of bad lifetimes to have this great opportunity. Because I have everything that I want. I had money, and I had the opportunity to vacation, like Eric says that he wants to do, and that's what I thought I wanted to do. I'll just take a vacation for the rest of my life. I came back to live an easy life. The call that the nuns told us that everyone got, I thought it passed me by. They told us that, you know what, God calls out, or Source calls out to everybody, and you get the opportunity to be a great mother or father or teacher, business person, contributor, whatever it is, you get a call. Now, the special call is for those young men and women who are going to go into the priesthood or to be nuns. And being a smart young man, I started committing every venial sin I could because I didn't want that call. And so I escaped. I thought I had escaped any call. I thought my call was just to be a really good father. I have 2 sons and now a daughter. And I was a good father. I was a coach. I, helped teach and do all the things that I needed to do and really enjoyed my life. And all of a sudden, I was given this call one night. And it said, create the universal flag. And I kind of woke up and I thought to myself, did someone say something? Didn't think it was anything, and I went back to sleep. Well, that call kept coming every 2 or 3 nights, create the universal flag. And now I'm conscious that something is telling me inside to create a universal flag. I'd done enough practice to know that, everything is communicated through telepathy. And so I started to get up at night and talk back without saying a word, just in silence. What are you talking about? Create the universal flag. I don't know anything about a universal flag. You've got the wrong guy. What you need to do is work on those other million souls that you're waking up and stop bothering me, please. And I thought that worked because I could go for a few nights before all of a sudden it was a louder call, create the universal flag. And now, a year or 2 into that, I'm mad. I'm getting up and I'm saying, what are you doing? You've got the wrong guy. I don't want my life to change. And I'm negotiating with Spirit or Source or God. I'm saying, you know what? If someone did create a universal flag, which expands the awareness of who they are, well, there's fundamentalists out there. They would shoot somebody like that. Jesus came back. Gandhi, King. There's lots of people that have been back. And you know what? We don't need to have that all over again. I'm too smart for that. I can't do that. But there's a lot of people that will really want to do this. And they're the type of people you need to contact. It got to the place where I said one night, you know what? Why don't you contact Wayne Dyer or Oprah? They're your people. They've got a built-in audience, and they know what they're doing. And I know nobody. I'm just Brian. Finally, 9/11 hit. I was in my dentist's office 3 days after that. Now, I felt bad like we all did. Not for those who made the transition, but for all of us left trying to pick up the pieces, trying to figure out why. I didn't necessarily buy into the belief that there are bad people out there that just want to accidentally come over here and blow up our building. I mean, I really didn't know all of the pieces, but I was aware enough to know that we're all connected and separated at the same time by our belief systems. And so as I sat in the dentist chair, the hygienist was working on my teeth, and she wanted to know what I thought about what we should do with Afghanistan. And being a wise soul, I said, well, what do you think we should do? And she says, well, I think we should bomb the entire country, just wipe them out. And at that point, I couldn't stay silent. I said, oh, come on. Certainly you understand that if you or I were born in the Al-Qaeda, if we had lived in the Taliban our entire lives, we would have been the first in line volunteering to fly those jets into that building. What other belief system could we possibly have had if we lived there? Well, that created tremendous anger. The next thing you know, my dentist came walking by and said, Brian, what are you doing? And I said, I'm just trying to talk some sense into the hygienist here. He says, you've got the wrong place. He said, you know, my family just kidnapped me last week and had to take me away for a week in seclusion because they were worried I was going to hell because I've been a sinner. They're saved me. And I said, Tom, whatever you've ever done, I absolve you. In the name of the Father, and Son, and the Holy Spirit. You're going to heaven. It's okay. And by doing that, it created so much anger in that dentist's office that people actually were coming by. And I could feel, just like when you walk into a room of tremendous tension, that if I was back in the cowboy days, they would have already had the noose over the tree, and I would have been strung up. And it was at that point that I made a mental note, okay, none of the million other souls have answered the call. I'll answer this call. And so I created the universal flag. But I thought that I could fool spirit. And so I created it, and I made a website, and all the words that, I said, everything came through me, and I put them up on a website. And I kind of was pretty proud of myself, and I said, well, Spirit, there you go. There's the universal flag. And there's a website, and I'm sure that, whoever's supposed to come there will come there, and maybe someone will even take this off my hands so I don't have to do anything. And the one thing that I didn't realize about when we have a call to action, a call to consciousness, is that Spirit can come whispering, Spirit will come knocking at the door, Spirit will come and pound your door down. And that's what happened to me, but I didn't answer the call. And then came the baseball bat. And it got my undivided attention. 3 years passed, and nothing happened with the universal flag. It was just there. And all of a sudden, I had been dating a gal for 6 years, and finally was in a position to get married. And we got married, and within 2 weeks of getting married, my mother walked in. I have 3 other brothers, and I didn't know that she didn't like this person, or she thought she was after something of mine. The long and the short of it is, she dropped everything off on the counter that I had ever given her from the time I was a young child and said, Brian, I'm disowning you as a son. And I said, Mom, I stayed very present. I said, Mom, that is the craziest thing I ever heard. You can't do that. There's nothing but unconditional love out there. We are one with everything. And whether you remember in this lifetime or after we make a transition in a few days, we're going to laugh about this because we're just connected. We're interconnected. Brian, I don't want to talk to you. And she moved down to Florida. My parents had both been helping for 8 years that I'd been divorced with my helping to raise my 2 sons when I wasn't home. And then about 5 months after that, my oldest son created a fabrication. He created that I had punched him and called his mother up. And I couldn't understand why he would create that. And so as I started thinking about it, by the next day I'm calling my ex-wife because he wanted to go over to her house with my youngest son. And I said, I think Patrick must be experimenting with drugs. Patrick isn't experimenting with drugs. And I can hear my son in the background, I've never done drugs in my life. And so she went and got a restraining order, which was beyond my imagination, how the courts would do that, but they did. And so for the first time in 8 years, I didn't get an opportunity to speak to my sons for 3 months. And they live with me 50% of the time. And I still thought that I was staying pretty present because I thought, well, they'll come back. There must be a reason for my mother leaving.